Hey everybody, my name is John Kefaloukos. I work for Microsoft as a senior modern work solutions specialist supporting law firms out of Chicago. And today we're going to be talking about the Microsoft 365 for Legal initiative on ILTA TV, which has really been made possible in partnership with ILTA and Microsoft. So I'm incredibly excited to be chatting about this initiative today with Joy and of course Karen. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hey, thanks, John. I'm Joy Heath. I'm the CEO of ILTA, the International Legal Technology Association. I've been around legal technology since 1981. Yes, it was the thing then. It looked very different than how it looks now. Prior to joining ILTA, I was with an ISV that supported Microsoft technologies, and I spent 28 years at the global law firm of Sidley Austin, where, among other things, I participated in one of the first, we called them then RAP, or Rapid Adoption Programs, with Microsoft to convert a law firm to Microsoft Office. So that was my project back in the day, and I was on Microsoft's Legal Advisory Council when such a thing existed. So I'm thrilled to be coming full circle and working with Microsoft again on this really important initiative for Microsoft and legal.
That's great to hear, Joy, and I'm thrilled to have you working with us on this. My name is Karen Vescovo, and I lead our Northeast region, but I also am responsible for our professional services industry strategy across the U.S. of A. And legal is an important part of that industry, and I think some of the things that we're going to talk to you about today are really addressed directly to the needs of this particular community. So I'm very excited to be launching this with John and Joy, and looking forward to engaging more within the legal industry.
Thanks so much, Karen. Thanks, Joy. And, we're calling this a fireside chat. It's a little bit formal, but I feel like I've known Joy for years at this point with how much we've been working together. So, Joy, I'm excited to get your expertise. And Karen, it is an honor to have you joining us as well to speak to your purview as the executive sponsor for the professional services industry for Microsoft. So thank you so much for your time as well. Before we jump into the fireside chat and some questions here, I just wanted to give a brief overview of what the Microsoft 365 for Legal initiative is all about, just to set some context for the day. And then for those who maybe haven't had a chance to attend our weekly webinars that we kicked off with ILTA. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in just a moment and share just specifically my PowerPoint here. Wouldn't be a Microsoft meeting or presentation without a PowerPoint. No, I'm just joking.
Kind of true, John.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
We wouldn't want there to be. There we go.
What was that, Joy?
We wouldn't want there to be. There
you go. I like that mentality. Microsoft Whiteboard is the future, though. I'm just saying, open whiteboard collaboration spaces. But no, jokes aside, this is the Microsoft 365 for Legal backstory, which really can be summarized as "We hear you," as an emphatic message to our entire law firm community and really corporate legal community as well for a variety of organizations. We've really spent a lot of time. We've failed. We've made mistakes. We've had to kind of be humbled, but at the same time, we've had to be empathetic and customer-centric in understanding that law firms have very, very important and unique challenges as it relates to data privacy, particularly putting client matter data in Microsoft's cloud. It's not just about Microsoft's cloud. It's really any public cloud based on this fear or risk of blind subpoena, which is an entirely fair statement given attorney-client privilege and the importance of it. So with that in mind, we've developed a framework and really a deployment vision for how Microsoft 365 can be deployed in a very customized way that factors in these unique requirements. I'm excited to share that on the next slide here. We also hear loud and clear that law firms and corporate legal departments need people who speak the language of legal, which Joy has helped us realize that Microsoft is an entirely different language, and we've really gotten very focused, laser sharp focused on getting specialized on legal specific nuances, legal specific partners, and the like. Lastly, we recognize that to a law firm's eye and really a lot of organizations, deployment of Teams just seems really complex, costly, and confusing, right? Governance, security, compliance, how do you deploy it, the technical considerations, there's a lot there. And what we're doing and what we've built really helps dwindle down the deployment of Teams and Microsoft 365 in a crawl, walk, run approach that's a little bit more digestible. Lastly, we all know this, it's kind of the elephant in the room. COVID-19 has changed everything, especially for law firms who, were very, very used to working within offices, maybe obviously in a mobile way with a virtualized environment. Well, now people are working, taking conference calls from all sorts of different places. So this initiative is all about enabling law firms to have what we call a modern workplace, working from wherever, on whatever device and whatever time you want to work on in a productive, but most importantly, a secure way. So for sake of not sounding like a commercial by any means, let's jump straight to this initiative, this deployment vision. No marketing slides here by any means. We just want to really talk about the solution to this problem, which is this: a prescriptive 4-phased process and approach, a crawl, walk, run approach that carefully considers your important security, risk, compliance, governance, but most importantly, client matter data privacy considerations for deploying Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365. I want to draw your attention. There's a lot of text here, but I'll draw your attention to the bottom left. Phase 1, the enable phase. The enable phase is really all about enabling collaboration and communication in a way that is already existing today in Skype for Business, or you might be using Jabber or other on-premises systems in the modern Teams application. So that way your instant messages don't get lost from your mobile app to your desktop and then randomly end up in Exchange or in your email. The Teams modern mobile app is amazing. It is the same exact experience on iOS, an iPad, or an iPhone, on Android, as it is on Windows 10, as it is in the browser, Chrome or Edge, as it is on Linux, believe it or not. So we want to help enable that modern Teams app and experience with instant messaging that has custom retention policies, deleting chat messages so data cannot be stored for after 24 hours in Microsoft's cloud. Modern meetings in Teams, peer-to-peer and group calling, the fact that you can create a group chat, then click the video call and then FaceTime essentially, or video chat with that group chat, just like you would in iMessage and WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. Basic presence in Teams, but really Outlook is still driving communication in this space. We recognize that lawyers love, use, live, and breathe by Outlook. Joy's helped us realize that, of course. Lawyers are still using their DMS solution, whether it's iManage, NetDocs, or the like. And most importantly, OneDrive and SharePoint are turned off, period. This 4-phase approach is all about turning things off as much as it is about turning things on in Microsoft 365, which is a much different approach than Microsoft has taken, where we've tried to tell everyone how great Microsoft 365 is. When you turn it all on, well, guess what? You have unique requirements. We hear you. You need to ensure, or close to at least reduce the risk of client metadata being stored in Microsoft's cloud. Turning off OneDrive and SharePoint in phase 1 help with that. Joy, any comments or questions you make about phase 1?
No, I love this. And I think one of the things to re-emphasize here is that unlike a corporation, most of the data that law firms house is not theirs. I think that's a really important thing that Microsoft heard. So a very small percentage of the data is about the business of the law firm that they're running themselves. The vast, vast majority of the data they house belongs to other people, and it's often their most sensitive data. I mean, think of you in your private life, the things you turn over to your lawyer are the things that you wouldn't want normally other people to see. So law firms not only have the custody of the data, but it's the most sensitive data. And realizing that, taking that leap, I think has been really important for Microsoft. The other thing I'd like to point out here is the importance of the broader ecosystem of technology that exists. You talked about document management systems and other tools. It's also been that recognition. We really appreciate Microsoft to say, look, we understand that the Microsoft M365 environment cannot solve every business problem you have with technology. You sometimes need specialized applications, and we need to fit in that ecosystem. You take those two things together, and that set the stage for all the good stuff that's coming, that's happened and will continue to happen.
Perfectly said. I appreciate you adding that color and context. You're right. Microsoft has realized for a while, I mean, we are the most trusted cloud provider, that our customers' data is our customers' data. But law firms take that to a different level where your data is actually not your data, it's your client's data. It's even more sensitive. And we recognize that, especially for highly regulated industries, financial services, healthcare, public sector, for example. So thanks for that additional color there, Joy. And I'll just briefly talk about phase 2, which in my opinion is the most important phase, the exciting phase where you get to turn on a lot of great functionality that's going to enable modern collaboration for your law firm. Things like real-time co-authoring that allows lawyers or internal employees at your law firm to co-author and collaborate in real time in the PowerPoint-rich desktop app, not just on the browser or in Word or Excel or OneNote or the like. Enable things like Microsoft Whiteboard for collaboration virtually and digitally. Well, you can enable that great productivity and collaboration suite without enabling the right security and compliance technology to help govern, protect that data. So data loss prevention. Not many people are aware of this, but in November, we completed our Microsoft Information Protection Suite with the release of Endpoint DLP, built into Windows 10, not bolted on, that allows you to do things like, hey, let's say a lawyer sticks at a thumb drive to their Windows 10 PC or their PC in general and starts to offload data. Well, Endpoint DLP can detect that and alert the right individuals that data is leaking or data is leaving your environment. Same thing in Teams with Communications DLP, which allows you to say, hey, if you're talking about something that sniffs or smells like client matter data, leveraging machine learning models, we'll block the ability to send that chat message. Or Microsoft Information Protection sensitivity labels that automatically labels a document as internal, confidential, highly confidential if it recognizes client matter data or important keywords. Again, that's text-based, and that's also with machine learning models and trainable classifiers that you can feed into a machine learning model. So a lot of great compliance technology built in to phase 2 that is going to get, hopefully, going to get your general counsel more comfortable with the risk associated with deploying your data in Office 365 while enabling the modern technology and collaboration productivity here. Karen, Joy, anything you'd add to this? Any comments or thoughts?
Well, I will add that I think it's also going to give the law firm general counsel vocabulary to have conversations with the general counsel of clients. So I'm sure Karen sees this in a wide variety of professional services. You're always serving your clients, and you have to be able to talk to them about common problems. But if you don't have a common vocabulary, it's hard to do it. And I think that this sets you up for that, is to be able to say, we have these tools, we have common tools, we have a common set of concerns. Now we have a way we can talk about it.
And Karen, you're on mute. I just took a looked over here and saw the mute button there. Good old COVID mute. And we all know
I went on mute so that the barking dog wouldn't interfere with our session today. I think the other thing that strikes me is control, right? This really puts the control squarely within the hands of the law firms, and really, I think, provides the sort of the compliance and assurance that they need to have to serve their end customers. And that's where I think this really is addressing the concerns that we've heard from law firms for a very long time.
You hit the nail on the head. Michelle Gilbert's part of our M365 for Legal V team out of Minneapolis, and she always talks about how this is a curated experience. This is an experience that you can control, and it really depends where you fall in that spectrum of highly conservative. We need to protect client matter data, period, hard stop. Maybe for our global 100 law firms or global 50 top 10 law firms, or maybe you don't have as conservative of an approach, and you could enable more technology. You have the control, you have the decision, and the power to make that decision. Phase 3, phase 4. Really, phase 1 and phase 2 are the very important phases because that's going to get you started on the journey to Teams and Microsoft 365. But phase 3 and phase 4 is all about differentiation and transformation. Teams is truly an operating system. We look at Teams as the new Windows. It is an OS, not that it's going to replace Windows, but it's an OS that you can build and extend off of with applications. Teams is a platform. It is not just a tool. It's not Skype 2.0. It's not just a UC or unified communications tool. That's what phase 3 and phase 4 is all about. Power BI, data visualization, chatbots in Teams, the ability to say, hey, let's look at the Heath Rush and Del Vescovo case of 1983 and understand what exactly happened. What was the outcome? Ask a chatbot that, and they can get you that real-time information. A lot of really great things that can happen once you start to put your data in Microsoft's cloud and leverage some of that AI technology. So I'll stop sharing my screen here and would love to just have an open discussion about this. Karen, starting with you, as it relates to the Microsoft 365 for Legal initiative and Microsoft's purview, Microsoft's support from a leadership and corporate perspective, what is Microsoft doing from a leadership perspective to really support this initiative and get more industry aligned?
It's a great question, John. We've actually been on a journey over the last several years, initially focusing on the regulated industries, really to address the unique needs of healthcare, our federal government, building out our GovCloud, working with financial services, and really addressing the needs of these organizations and these industries that have high requirements around regulatory compliance, data privacy, et cetera, and data governance. And this year we launched, 2 additional verticals, manufacturing and retail, and we're beginning the process of standing up our professional services vertical. As I mentioned, I'm the executive sponsor for that in the US. And we will continue to really align our field sales teams and our engineering resources and our capabilities around the needs of each unique industry. And so this is really setting us on that journey to really address the needs of our legal community. What's interesting too is that Microsoft's putting a little bit more weight behind this, from assigning a designated corporate project owner who is going to connect across engineering, the field teams, marketing, and our business strategy folks to make sure that we're validating and continuing to respond to the needs of the legal community. And then lastly, and Joy, you hit on this, and I think it's really important for everybody out there to know, Microsoft at its core is a platform company. And even in the industries that I mentioned before that have been sort of formalized for a couple of years now, we still rely on our partners to bring the unique needs of those industries to bear. And so we are a platform organization. We will continue to partner with ISV partners, with SI partners, and with other application providers to really bring the full complement of resources that any legal entity will need to address their collaboration needs. So it's important to just reinforce that, that we'll continue to rely on our partners to fulfill the vision that we have for legal.
Joy, from your perspective, Karen touched on a lot of great things there. You've met Iris Childress, who's our corporate escalation project owner. She's been great. What has been different about Microsoft's approach this time around to times in the past?
I think the big difference is it's very, very clear that listening has occurred. You started out this session by saying, we hear you. That's easy. That in psychology, they call it reflective listening, and we've seen that because we hear the vocabulary of legal coming back. We see the relationships forming with the document management vendors, with the ethical walls vendors, with the partners that really specialize in what legal practice is using technology. And it's, what do they say? The proof is in the pudding. When you start to see that, when you see the real things happening, people say, okay, yep, got it, we're here. I also think the dedication of resources, again, nothing shows commitment better than putting people to it. People whose names who have faces that you can talk to, and not just, hey, we have a team. You don't know them, you can't see them, but they exist. This is people that are willing to be visible. They're providing their names. Obviously, the support of someone at Karen's level in the organization demonstrates real commitment. Those are the things that to me say, yep, it's real.
Yeah. I appreciate that perspective. And, as a result of that, Joy, obviously we've talked, to our Global 100 audience and Global 200, and now we've kind of released this and presented this to many law firms globally. What has been the reaction and response from some of our either biggest or mid-market law firms?
Well, I can say one of the G100 CIOs wrote me a note the other day about our briefing that we did on the Deployment for Legal Initiative. And he said, this is the best conversation I've had with Microsoft in my career. And this guy isn't 5 years old, so he's been doing this for a little while, which I thought was great. I think I cannot tell you how many notes I've had saying, thank you, ILTA, for helping make this happen. Thank you for bringing this programming to us, to working with Microsoft. This is really valuable. It's really needed. And I'm hearing it from the business partners too, who appreciate having the ability to connect with Microsoft in a very specific framework.
Mm-hmm. And Karen, question for you on connecting on that specific framework, making sure we're executing upon this M365 for Legal initiative. As executive sponsor of the professional services industry, obviously you're involved on a consistent basis, but Microsoft has also invested in resources. Joy said it earlier, the amount of people, the amount of resources, not just for M365 for Legal, but in general. We created a customer success organization 3 years ago. What is Microsoft doing from an organizational structure, hierarchy, people, processes perspective to really get more customer obsessed, more specialized, and more focused?
I think that, I guess I want to go back to one of my prior points. Yes, we have resources within our organizations that are getting smarter and deeper on the technology as it relates or as it pertains to the industry. Really what outcomes we need to be driving for each industry. But I also want to emphasize the importance of a partnership like we have with ILTA. I mean, the reality is, while I'm actually a lawyer, I don't think anybody else in my organization is, and I'm not sure anybody else that covers professional services within, Microsoft North America has a JD. But, I don't set myself apart in that way. I think it is the partnership with a company, with an organization like ILTA, who is the premier association for technologists in legal, to really be clear, to help them educate us on the challenges and the goals that they have regarding cloud productivity, collaboration, and really of utmost concern, security and how to manage to security. And the thing that I love about the partnership with ILTA is that, from a core values or core principles perspective, the companies are really well aligned. I mean, ILTA's core principle is to commit to the highest standards of ethics and professionalism, to nurture skills and talent, and to promote professional development and success, to foster a trusted resource community. And when you think about, Microsoft's mission statement to empower every organization on the planet to achieve more, to empower people to achieve more, this is why we are a really good match. The other thing, too, that I love about ILTA's vision that aligns to Microsoft's, values as well is this focus on, technical intensity and technical depth, and to ensure that, we're driving success for you and for your firm. And so that is what I think is so unique and so special about this partnership, and how we bring really the vision for legal to life by partnering with an organization like ILTA.
Yeah, I love that. I think it speaks to, yes, we're getting more specialized, we're investing in resources, but we also are humble enough to recognize that we are not going to be the experts in everything. We're not going to be the best in everything. And there are organizations like ILTA who can really help us learn, help us grow, because this is all that they do, legal technology. So Joanne, on that topic about ILTA, how is the ILTA and Microsoft partnership helping to get the word out in an authentic way, a genuine way that doesn't come off as we're just trying to sell you a bill of goods, but we truly want to help?
I think that, again, it's introducing those real faces, John. I think that that's so much of it, whether it's you and Karen, or whether it's Kellen, or whether it's Mark, or whether it's Paul Eglin, these are real people that you can talk to, and that makes all the difference. I think the other thing that feels genuine is over the years, a friend of mine who used to be on my team at Sidley used to call it things that made her twitch, right? So when people started talking about customization, she's like, it makes me twitch when I hear about customization. So what we're hearing here is that we're getting the attention of engineering in a way that's not customization. It's taking a group of functionality and configuring it in such a way that it meets the needs without having a legal specific version of M365. That worries the heck out of people. They would rather have a way to pull levers or adjust dials to dial in the way they want to do it, not to customize the application and the code base. So having access to engineering in terms of what levers are available, what knobs can be turned, and that Microsoft is taking that approach and feeding it back, that's powerful.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and certainly I like that configurable versus customizable. It's not like we're going and this truly isn't a M365 legal edition or Teams legal edition where we're completely changing the product or relaunching the product. We are configuring it in a way that just truly shows that we understand. And yeah, that makes sense. That's a good way to look at it. Karen, we talked a bit about how we're partnering with ILTA and getting the word out. What is Microsoft doing in particular to get the word out for the Microsoft 365 for Legal initiative? What can people expect?
I'm really excited, John. We're actually hosting 8 sessions on Microsoft 365 and Teams deployment with specifically curated content for the legal industry itself. Those are starting in February. And we will have subject matter experts across Teams, Office 365, SharePoint, OneDrive, security, Windows 10, et cetera, to present this proposed vision that really, I believe, will help us modernize the workplace for lawyers. And, one of the things you said earlier, John, that's so bears emphasis here is in light of COVID-19 to really empower them no matter where they are, given the requirements that many of us have in terms of working remote.
I love it. Joy, we're going to, hopefully I've called you our master of ceremonies of our webinars over the last month. Is that going to continue to be a theme, or are we going to keep seeing you on these weekly calls?
You can't kick me out, John. You can try. Because I always say, you can take the nerdy girl out of the law firm technology, but you can't take the law firm technology, love out of the nerdy girl. And that would be me. There's one other thing in kind of this making stuff real that I want to highlight. As you've talked, Karen and John, both of you, about information governance, because that's not exactly the same thing as security, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they go hand in glove. And information governance is such an incredibly important discipline inside the practice of law. Karen, as a lawyer, you have ethical requirements, and outside the United States, there are legal and statutory and jurisdictional requirements as well, and understanding that any new technology that a law firm or a law department brings in has to fit in that information governance rubric structure that you already have. The fact that we're hearing things that talk about information governance, compliance, and the fact that you sometimes have to retrofit things. COVID is a great example of that. A lot of law firms put in Teams in a very accelerated fashion. Right. And the analogy I've been using is, you know how they talk about closing the barn door after the horse is gone? The horse is in the next state. And you're trying to get the horse back in the barn to make sure that all the great things you've achieved with Teams in terms of direct messaging, collaboration, then are involved in this information governance framework and rubric. And when I hear conversations about that, it's great. That's also a really important perspective to bring to these conversations. It's not just technology, it's technology in context.
I love it. And that's going to be a common theme throughout the entirety of the webinar sessions. Karen, what do you want customers to take away from these sessions as a result of these next 8 weeks, starting on February 17th?
Yeah, I think it's been stated a couple times, but as I reflect on the whole conversation, I think there's two big things. One is I think we do understand the challenges that law firms face in terms of data privacy and requirements, data governance and security. I do think the risk of blind subpoena, is top of mind for Microsoft in terms of addressing those needs and understanding that your data is not your data, unlike most corporations that we work with. I think so that listening, that active listening and taking action on it is really important, and I think we will continue to do that. The other thing I think that, John, you presented earlier in the deck around the phased approach that we're taking. I think we're trying to be incredibly thoughtful in understanding that one size does not fit all, that not every law firm has the same requirements, and that we're working to, as you put it, Joy, not customize, but potentially pull levers to really address the unique needs of each law firm. We're working hard to, continue to be a trusted technology partner in the legal industry, and we want to make sure that we're addressing your unique needs and that we're committing to solve the challenges that you have, within your law firms.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Karen. Enjoy. Question for you, as you know your ILTA TV audience probably better than I do. Would it be helpful to give them, some go-dos, or hey, if we're interested, how can we move forward? And also, I have a snapshot of the webinars. Do you think it'd be helpful to show some of those?
Sure, would you please? So you'll all be hearing out in ILTA land, you'll be receiving announcements about the series that begins on the 17th, and John is showing you the topics. Microsoft and ILTA have worked together on developing these topics to make sure that we've hit the things that are critical. And one of the things you need to know is these sessions are not intended to be talking head sessions. So some of you may have attended one of the 3 briefings that we've done so far. I think, John, we're going to try to do one more to talk about this legal deployment initiative. And you found that we're not only talking about that first couple of slides that John showed, but people are putting questions in the chat about how do I do this? And we're talking about real solutions and which levers to pull and which knobs to turn. We intend these sessions, even though we're calling them webinars, we intend them to be real sessions where we're hearing about specific problems and helping people offer solutions. And I think if you have not participated in one of those briefings, as I said, we're going to try to do one more. We don't have it on the calendar yet, but it's coming. Please be on the lookout for it. You'll be better prepared. And you'll see in the announcement of the briefing some of the names and how to reach some of the folks at Microsoft that are involved in this legal V team. Reach out to your account team and begin the dialogue. Reach out to your trusted partner. You can see on the slide that John's showing now, we've got 2 of our kind of legal specific service providing partners who are well entrenched. We have others that ILTA has connected with Microsoft so that we can bring even more service providers into this conversation so that you have a whole range of resources from technical configuration to adoption and training and support that'll help you be successful in this.
Yeah, Joy, you hit the nail on the head, especially for kind of steps 1 and 2 that we recommend. Definitely get in touch with your account team, your account executive, your customer success account manager, formerly known as a TAM, or if you're a Microsoft partner, with your partner development manager, and then of course engage one of our briefed consultants in addition to the other consultants that we're bringing kind of on board and briefing every single week. The steps 3 and 4, the Microsoft Technology Center briefing, I want to really emphasize that. Paul Edlund and Corey Buzzle are MTC architects who are not in the sales organization. Their sole job is to help build and help you build on top of Microsoft 365 or deploy Microsoft 365 and architect design in an effective way. They are the ones that helped us build this, and they've been working with a variety of law firms in Chicago as well as a law firm in Pittsburgh to help us get started. So make sure to ask your account team to schedule a Microsoft Technology Center strategy briefing or rapid prototype development session in one of these 6 locations. The ones in bold are the ones that are really kind of briefed and up to speed on what we're doing with M365 for legal. And then lastly, just pursue 2 parallel work streams: technical validation. All these words are great. The text on the slide, fantastic. It's a great vision, but a vision is nothing without execution and a plan to execute. We need to validate that all of this works as we are kind of advertising or explaining, which we are in the process of with a variety of law firms in Chicagoland right now. And so far, so good, but we want you to see for yourselves. So any POCs, demos, rapid prototype development, like we said earlier. And then in addition to that, there's a really strong business case here that says if you can consolidate your disparate technology or multiple technologies that maybe compete with one another in some areas to a singular Microsoft 365 platform, there's a lot of cost savings potential. So Microsoft, your account executive can complete a business case or a business value analysis that does a total cost of ownership, hard dollars cost savings potential of consolidation. So again, just want to make sure we give you next steps, key tangible steps for how you can maybe explore this vision and see if it can impact your law firm or your corporate legal department. Karen, Joy, we're going to wrap up here, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Starting with you, Karen, any final thoughts as we say goodbye?
I think, Joy reminded me of something at the start around way back when we did have a more sort of formalized legal industry. And I have met with many customers who have expressed a frustration that no longer, exists in Microsoft. And I don't know that I can sit here today to say that we're formalizing that again, yet I can sit here today and say, I think we're doing more now to address the needs of the legal industry than we have been capable of doing in the last several years. And I guess my point in saying all that is we appreciate the patience, we appreciate the continued coaching, we appreciate the feedback, and we're doing our best to make sure we can act on it, and that we can get you what you need to make sure that you and your organizations are successful.
Joy, anything you'd add on top of that? Well said, Karen.
I love what Karen said. I think we have to be realistic about it, because it also, again, it's a partnership. It's a village. And Microsoft has to do their part, but we have to do our part too. I mean, I'm not fond of it as a leader when someone comes and dumps a problem in my lap and doesn't provide any solutions. They just try to get me to fix it for them. It's taking us talking to each other to try to figure out how we can together help each other. And one of the things that I think is unique about technology in this kind of collaboration space that also involves security and information governance, people don't necessarily see it as a competitive advantage. They understand that in your supply chain for legal services, you're only as secure as your weakest link. So it's, to use old cliches, a rising tide raises all boats. The more that we can work together to make the whole environment, the whole community more secure, better information governance, better privacy, it benefits everybody in the community. Most of all, it benefits our clients. And that's what it's about.
I love it. I could not have said either of those statements better myself. I appreciate both you and for taking the time today. At the end of the day, just to, I think, reiterate and finalize and close with, we hear you, we're listening, but most importantly, we need your help. Like Joy and Karen both said, we certainly want to make this approach bulletproof. We recognize there isn't a one size fits all or an answer or a silver bullet here. So we just want some help to build it in a way that is just truly going to help drive impact and transformational change in the legal industry specific to each law firm. So again, thank you so much to both of you for joining us today. Karen, Joy, Joy. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here alongside both of you. If you have any questions at all from anyone watching, M365legal@Microsoft.com is an alias we created where we can maybe answer some questions, but more specifically, more importantly, please just contact your Microsoft account team, your account executive and team. We're working on training the entire field sales organization to be able to better support you. But we just greatly appreciate your time. Thank you for listening, but most importantly, thank you, Joy. Thank you, Karen, for taking the time to spend to talk about this important initiative on ILTA TV. We'll see you next time and see you on our webinar series starting on February 17th. Bye, everybody.